Good afternoon. How are you today? Well, let's see. Thomas Jefferson says the temperature is 86 degrees. There is a comfortable, 3-mile-an-hour breeze. It is now swimming outdoor weather, and there's a local pool, and usually you can convince them to give you a lap lane. And I've done it before, so this will be the first time this season I've done it. And then I have to protect my Irish skin. So, what's going on? Well, we can't overlook the fact that in Congress, there are a lot of people leaving the Congress, and they're not the crazies. They're the more rational, duty-driven, substantive, though perhaps more conservative than myself, who have been the past history of participants in the House and the Senate. Years ago, when a lot of Democrats were leaving the House, John Conyers, who was the ranking member of the House Judiciary Committee, was with me. We appeared, he invited me to come with him, appeared on a TV station, and the position he took was that the Democrats were going to lose control of the House because of the quitters. And he had no stomach for the quitters. And I am concerned that we're losing Republicans who apparently are sane, who are in a forum protesting. So it's interesting. The Republicans are divided into the subdued and those who take flight. Now on the Hill, we had our so-called Attorney General Garland up there. And the Republicans attack Garland, who in my humble opinion has helped the R's more by his inert status than if they, had a more partisan person as Attorney General. I can't help but wonder what conversations, if any, were had between Garland and the special counsel, both about the D.C. case and the Florida case. And I suspect, to the extent that Jack Smith can be persuaded, if that conversation occurred, he would go speculating that he's taken a less dramatic approach. My approach would be, why the hell are you concealing the outcomes of these trials by delay? Doesn't that set us up for a very dangerous situation when he is convicted? Because I don't think the trials can be stopped. I think that they can go forward with the trial. And it's not a minority view. We've had several special counsels who are of the view you can even indict the president while he's sitting. So what do you do when he's been indicted and he wasn't sitting? And then it was about his very conduct as the president. And it's separate and apart from impeachment. But okay, so we'll deal with that another time. The conversations on the Hill by Garland could have actually stood for something. He runs to other issues as if you can make a balance between a former president who ran down the government, tried to overthrow the government, and you don't say anything about that? How's that possible? One can avoid conflict to such a point that you support the opposition. Now, the other thing going on is about our borders, and some pretty interesting stuff here. Because the Republicans were encouraged in the legislature to turn their attention around and not support the bill that would have been a compromise about our borders, because Trump thought it should be a campaign issue. Well, this is the kind of campaign issue it is. Democrats, including Biden, support asylum. Our promise, if you will, to people everywhere that you have a place here if you meet certain requirements, including what has prompted you to flee whence you came. Biden proposes that at 2,500 crossings that they stop and everybody else is turned away. And there's a whole series of provisions that will apply to the borders. The Republicans who refused this similar deal now attack it, of course, because Trump wants it as an issue, even though that's not realistic. I've said before, and I was encouraged to hear Biden say today, and I think anybody else should be as well, that why are we limiting those who come in by asylum? Well, there are reasons to do that, but one of the reasons is we don't have the border agents, we don't have the judges, we don't have the facilities, we don't have the software. We have programs to buy and supply all of these things so we can meet our obligations to meet the asylum requirements, but the Republicans won't have it. So it's this way for Republicans to be against asylum for anyone. And for all the people that they've talked about over the years who are coming into our country and committing terrible wrongs, who are they? But we do have the son of immigrants, and he proved himself to be a criminal once he was here. And his name is Trump. Trump is a convicted felon, multiple. And his offenses are against the very government. How he would conceal the truth in political campaigns. There's a phrase that I really dislike. It makes me think of 1984. It makes me think of removing more subtle elements of a debate out of the public fora because we supplant what one might say more rationally as debate, discussion, what we can do, is this right or wrong? And the term is weaponize. And it's particularly annoying again that the Republicans use these words and the Democrats take them on without so much as a up yours. What is wrong with these people? These people make a living arguing why they should be the public's representative in Congress. And yet they don't know how to do it. They don't know how to do it. He could be a member of Congress. Where he kicked up dust on a turn for no good reason except he's annoyed I'm walking on a dirt road. Not an exaggeration. I'm not spouting false conspiracy theories. Okay, so let's examine weaponize, which Attorney General Garland used that term himself instead of fighting it. He was sitting there and he could have, as a man of letters, if you will, small ones and frequently written, he could have said, there's no such thing as weaponizing. What happens is we investigate matters. We may prosecute the matters. We may seek a conviction of the matters. And in those circumstances, that's what we have to be worried about. So that is the misuse of the term weaponize. And we have to be aware that by language, newspeak, control of the people, we compromise our institutions. Now, are they really saying that we're upset about what the Justice Department is doing because it's going after corrupt white people? Yeah, absolutely. Is the Department of Justice and law enforcement offices across the country weaponized to investigate and prosecute and to abuse persons of color? Seems so. What have we done about that in the Congress? Well, the people who fled may have tried, but the ones who remain, they have no interest in persons of color. They have no interest in equality. This is a white America. In fact, there was a passing remark by somebody, not an official, who talked about how things should have gone a certain way because we're white, and that's something. Now, there's one of those proceedings going on, I guess, in the silly season of presidential politics, in which they decided to go forward with the Hunter Biden case. Now, I don't profess to have studied the case, but I do know at one point they thought they had a deal, and the information they got from that deal, they're using against Hunter Biden at the trial on the charges that were part of an agreement that's been thrust aside, seemingly for political reasons. Okay. Abby Lowell, who I think is a very fine lawyer, we both went to Columbia, and I haven't discussed this case with him, but I think he's called the right shots. And in his opening, he said in this gun trial that there is a disconnect between the gun and whatever addiction he had, whatever crack habit he had. And so that should matter. Now, are we prosecuting a man for having a gun by a group of people that are crazed to a fetish status of possessing and using guns, petting them, I'm sure, at home, late, dark at night, having too many that they could actually use if they ever did use them for target practice, waiting for that day when they can shoot a real human with a gun. Some person they can't persuade to come over to their side, or they don't care. Too strong? I don't think so. And that's our problem. Nobody believes it until they're crashing in your skull. So is the Hunter Biden case then about prosecuting a person who was ill, who failed to say that he had owned a gun? Does that sound like a criminal offense? Now, I credit Abby Lowell with framing it that way. I didn't hear anything better by the prosecution because they went up to 10,000 feet. You know, no man is above the law. Okay, I agree with that. But Abby's argument is not above the law. So am I attacking the court? No. I do wonder about the genesis of the prosecution. I have another shout out for Biden, which is that he appears to have put Netanyahu in the corner of a room between a world community and friends and family of hostages who want him to make a deal versus right-wing extremists in his cabinet who are going to seek to remake the government if he, Netanyahu, goes along with the deal. Netanyahu is pleased to delay because, in his view, apparently, until the last possible person in Gaza is killed who could mount an attack, there is not the foundation for a truce. Hard words, but I think true. We just have to stand up there on the wall and fight these people who dishonor us, dishonor our nation, talk about weaponize when we're really talking about the very hard decision as to how to calculate criminal conduct, investigate it, and prosecute it. So here I am on this warm day, and I hope later today, after some more work, to find my way to a public pool and see if I can get a lap lane for a while. So I say goodbye to you from the Cathedral of Trees. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.